Welcome back to normal baseball. The Orioles have finally got their ace after trading for Corbin Burnes. Bobby Witt Jr. got absolutely paid by the Royals, and Jose Altuve is now officially an Astro for life, which raises some questions for the Astros and their future signings. We're going to talk about all that and a lot more. Welcome back to normal baseball. I'm Alex Normal Dog. That's Lewis, and it is officially baseball season, I'd say. The Super Bowl was yesterday. Congrats to the Chiefs. Congrats to Mahomes and all them. But now it is officially baseball season. Full focus is baseball. For the general public, it should be at least. Spring training is about 2 days away. Pitchers and catchers should be reporting in the next 2 days, so that should be fun to watch happen. And we're here to talk about everything that's going on, everything that has gone on, and we should start with Corbin Burnes and the Orioles. But first, Lewis, what's been going on? You excited for baseball?
Nothing much. I'm beyond excited for baseball. I'm excited to talk about everything that we have in today's episode. Let's just jump right into it. I don't want to waste too much time on what's going on with me. Let's talk about baseball.
Yes, let's get right into it. So, the Orioles have traded for Corbin Burnes, former Cy Young winner, from the Brewers. Corbin Burnes obviously is on the last year of his contract, so this will be a somewhat rental for the Orioles unless they can extend him. The full trade package was the Orioles received straight up just Corbin Burnes, starting pitcher Corbin Burnes, and the Brewers received a couple Orioles prospects in D.L. Hall, who is a left-handed pitcher, and a middle infielder, Joey Ortiz, plus the 34th pick in the 2024 MLB draft. It's a compensation pick, which is why it was able to be traded. Obviously, you can't trade draft picks in baseball, which say what you want about it, but you can trade the compensation picks. So the Orioles traded that compensation pick to the Brewers, and the Orioles officially have an ace.
Yeah, they definitely do. Corbin Burnes is not someone who you really want to have to face, especially if you are going up against the powerhouse 101-win Orioles team. Now adding, like you just said, Alex, an ace of their staff, Corbin Burnes, mind-boggling numbers in the last, 3 years since he's basically been an all-star, also won his first Cy Young 3 years ago. I think that bringing in a guy who's a little bit more mature, a little bit more experienced, a little bit older, I should not have said mature, but a guy who's a little bit more experienced in Corbin Burnes is going to mean a lot for this team. He might genuinely be the piece that puts the Orioles over the edge come playoff time. If they're in the same situation again, where let's just say they do have to face an offensive heavy team like the Rangers or like the Astros come the first round of the playoffs, I think I would lean more and more towards Baltimore now that I know they have a solid number one ace.
Yeah, it feels like it's been a long time since the Orioles have had a certified ace. I mean, who was the last ace of the Orioles rotation?
Pre-surgery John Means.
But
even then, that's different
not
levels.
A top of the line Cy Young not to say anything bad about John Means. I'm not trying to say anything bad, but that's not a former Cy Young winner, a top 5 Cy Young type of guy. This
you have to go back to like Mike Mussina.
This is a bona fide ace, a bona fide top of the rotation guy, and he'll be starting on opening day. He's their guy, and I think it's such a change for the Orioles because in recent years, especially, they have had that lack of a certified ace. They've had guys step up during the season, like John Means, who going into the season was not like their bona fide ace, but he grew into it as the season went on. They haven't had that going into the season in a while, and I think this is really big for them. And considering they won the AL East last year, getting better in that rotation with Corbin Burnes is really impressive.
Not only did they win the AL East last year, they won with 101 wins with
it wasn't barely won.
Not a amazing pitching staff, adding a front of the line starter, as well as I believe it was Grayson Rodriguez really stepped up in the second half, and I'm hoping that he continues that trajectory come the 2024 season because, yes, Corbin Burnes, he's your guy, of course, But to have such a young guy in Grayson Rodriguez be able to learn from such a skilled and decorated pitcher like Corbin Burnes is in his career, that is extremely valuable. And I would love to see Grayson Rodriguez take the step in the right direction. I think Kyle Bradish, right? Is he still right?
Yeah, I was going to say he's getting put into a while yes, Corbin Burnes is just 29 years old, he's getting put into an Orioles rotation that is extremely young.
Yes.
They don't have anyone who's over the age of 30. So this is a very young Orioles rotation now, and Burnes is definitely the most experienced and accomplished pitcher now in there. So I think inserting him into that rotation with the Grayson Rodriguez, who's had his shines of light, but has also had really rough patches. Having that veteran and the most that experienced guy in there to teach him is important. And yes, Kyle Bradish absolutely stepped up last season, came almost out of nowhere. I mean, he was definitely not a top-of-the-line starter heading into the season, but he grew into a top-of-the-line starter throughout the season. Having Corbin Burnes now with him gives him another guy. John Means just came back towards the end of the season from injury, so he'll be back next season. And Dean Kramer is an interesting one to me because he's shown some not great stretches, but then he's also shown some really dominant stretches. So I'm excited to see what kind of Dean Kramer we get jumping out of the gates next season. But I would certainly agree that putting Corbin Burnes into this rotation with the young guys that are in it with him is really good for the development of those guys.
Yeah.
Not to mention, Corbin Burnes last year did take a little bit of a step back in terms of run prevention. But is that a concern for him heading into the AL East? Because for the first 6 years of his career, he was in Milwaukee in what might be the worst division or the second worst division in baseball in the NL Central. Do you think now this increased competition in the AL East, you have heavy hitters, you have the Rays, obviously, one of the powerhouses, they always find a way to win. You have the Yankees, who their lineup consists of Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. That's all you really need to say to see how powerful of a team they are. And obviously the Blue Jays, who have Vladimir Guerrero Jr., George Springer, Bo Bichette. They have that really strong lineup too. Are you concerned that his numbers did regress a little bit last year, and now this year he's going into an even tougher division? Is there any concern with Corbin Burnes heading into the AL East next season?
Honestly, I don't think that there is any concern. If you are the Baltimore Orioles, you take a look in the mirror and you say, hey, we won 101 games without this guy in our rotation. Sure, you can say, oh, but the other teams have amazing lineups and blah, 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 blah. You had the best one. So just be lucky that, your offense does not have to clobber Corbin Burnes, and Corbin Burnes will hopefully figure out ways to get through and fight off the other teams with their very, very good offenses. I genuinely think that, the Orioles only got better, and it made the rest of the AL East very, very worried, in my opinion. Corbin Burnes we've seen the upside of him winning literally a Cy Young Award. We've seen his upside. We know how good of a pitcher he can be and has been throughout his career. And yes, even though his step back was a 3.39 ERA, I believe, that is what most pitchers in the AL East strive for, and that's Corbin Burnes' down year. So I am going to say that they should be A-okay in the AL East.
I think A-okay is I understand where you're coming from, but I think there should still be a little bit of not concern necessarily, but
a worry.
Not even, I don't even know if I'd constitute it as a worry, but there's always just in the back of your mind saying, it is increased competition. So if he comes over here and struggles for the first month or couple months, I wouldn't be too worried about it at that point. If he starts to struggle, getting into the middle of summer, when he's already faced these teams a few times, then you start to worry. But I definitely think that they have to have a little bit of a long leash. While, yes, you can say this guy's an ace, this guy's a top of the rotation kind of guy, he should be coming in here and just dominating right away. I think that you do have to give him some leniency.
You give him a month. Give him a month.
In the sense of, this is his first time pitching for an American League team. there's different competition, these different teams that he hasn't faced being in the NL Central. Yes, last year every team played every team once, but that doesn't guarantee that he's going to face a team. So I think give him a little bit of time. I don't expect him to just come out and have like a 2 ER, like a 0 ERA through his first 5 starts. You know what I mean? Like I don't expect him to come out and just like dominate every single team. I think there will be a little bit of a learning curve coming into a more competitive division.
Okay.
But I don't see a reason that he wouldn't be able to round it out and dominate towards the end of the season, because they'll win. I mean, this lineup will give him run support, so I'm not saying they're just going to be losing the first couple months, but
one thing,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. One thing that I'm interested to see is in the NL Central, the ballparks, all very big, not super duper hitter friendly besides Cincinnati. In the AL East, ballparks are small. You know, the only saving grace is that Corbin Burnes should be playing half of his games in Camden Yards, where they just moved back the left field wall about 40 feet 2 seasons ago.
Pitchers love that.
Yeah, pitchers love that. But think about it. Fenway, very, very small ballpark, especially for right-handed hitters. Yankees, obviously. Tiny, tiny ballpark. Toronto, although they did do a bunch of stadium renovations again this offseason, stadium looks great. It's still very much so a hitter's park before a pitcher's park. And the Rays are the same way. The Baltimore Orioles technically have the best stadium for pitchers, and even then, it's not by much.
I haven't seen that Blue Jays stadium yet. The renovations they made.
They did some last year.
I saw the ones last year, but I didn't know what they were up to this year.
Hey, last season, the big issue was that they had no cup holders in the 100 section.
Crazy.
They put cup holders in the 100 section. That was their big renovation.
Wow. That's really going to change the outcome of the games, I'm sure.
Vladdy might hit one more home run this year.
I am excited to see Corbin Burnes in this rotation. I'm excited to see what the Orioles can do coming off an 101-win season, in a season that no one really expected them to win 100 games. They were in the contention for maybe they'll win the AL East, but I don't think a lot of people were thinking they're going to win 101 games and kind of dominate while doing so. I don't think that was in anyone's mind. So I'm excited to see what they can do now, adding a bona fide stud, certified ace to their rotation for next year. Looking at the other side of things, the Milwaukee Brewers just gave up their ace, who, yes, he was a free agent after this season. Oh, that's another thing. You know, Corbin Burnes is a free agent after this season. So
True.
If the Orioles want to keep him, they'll have to extend him. And I think if he likes it in Baltimore, I think he'll extend fairly quickly. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised about seeing an extension during the season. Right? I mean, he's not a Scott Boras client, so it's definitely possible. Because if he likes Baltimore, I could see it happening. But looking at the Brewers, they just got rid of their ace. They knew he wasn't happy there. That the move had to be made. But they get back 2 pretty good prospects in return.
For sure.
In DL Hall and Joey Ortiz. I obviously haven't watched too much of DL Hall and Joey Ortiz just because, I mean, DL Hall has 29 total games in the majors, and he's not a starter. So the chances that I was just happened to be watching the Orioles game where he was pitching was kind of slim. But last year, DL Hall played really well. I mean, a 3.26 ERA in 18 games, 19 innings, 23 strikeouts. I see big potential in both of these prospects. Joey Ortiz is another guy who, you know, I haven't seen play too much, but from the numbers and what I've heard going around after this trade, he's also a pretty good prospect. And I mean, I see no issue with this trade on the Brewer side of things.
All right, I understand that. I think that
plus the compensation pick. So
yes,
never complain
when
about
you
that.
look at the trade package, and I believe it was mostly, I want to say, Yankee fans and Dodger fans that were like, that's all that it took to get Corbin Burnes, and my team did not go do it. You have to remember that the Brewers have a way with pitching. That's the reason why they've been able to be so good for so long, and in terms of baseball years, obviously. DL Hall is a pitcher, a left-handed pitcher, that has shown his ability to succeed on the mound, but he just hasn't really found that one pitch sort of thing. I'm sorry if I'm butchering what I'm trying to say here, but he is like one pitch away from being a guy that's like, oh shit, we're up by a run and we need someone to come in and get 2.5 innings of work or 2 1/3 innings of work, DL Hall might be your guy. I mean, he came up as a starting pitcher, but, when he got to the majors, more of a reliever, and I think that he has so much upside that it's worth it. Joey Ortiz, I know realistically nothing about. I imagine that if he's an Orioles prospect, he's probably very good, and that 34th overall pick, that's the
it's
shot.
a pick.
That's the shot in the dark.
I mean, yeah, it's a pick. I mean,
you could find a guy like Jackson Chourio who might be starting opening day for the Brewers, or you could find someone who might not pan out to be anything. That's going to be the most interesting part.
Yeah, I don't really look at the picks too much because picks in baseball, while they do mean stuff, you get the Carlos Correas who were picked number 1 overall and come to be studs. I don't think it's as high of a success rate with specific picks in baseball, so I don't know. Draft picks in baseball are a very weird thing. But going back to what you were saying about DL Hall, I mean, I just want to see if I'm getting this right. So you're saying like you think he's like a Mo cutter away from
okay, well that's a little.
I'm not saying he'll throw a cutter like Mariano Rivera, but I mean like
he's missing.
Mariano Rivera had that pitch. That was Mariano Rivera's pitch.
Yes.
Even Corbin Burnes, if you look at Corbin Burnes' cutter is amazing. He's
Devin
missing
Williams.
his signature pitch.
Yes, I
That's
think
what
that
you're saying.
he needs that one pitch that gets that swing and miss, but also could just be a strike without it.
Like you were saying, you didn't know if you were like
Yes.
butchering the explanation. That's how I kind of interpreted it.
That's what I'm trying to
he's
say.
Missing like that's his pitch. Like
Yes.
like that's
he needs that pitch that will leave a batter always worried in the back of their mind. Is he going to throw it? Because I think DL Hall has amazing control and amazing ability to pitch at the major league level. He just needs that one pitch.
I see what you're saying now.
I believe in DL Hall.
By the way, I did also see those things of they're saying, oh, that's all it took to get Corbin Burnes. I mean, you talk about DL Hall. These aren't bad prospects.
No, these are amazing
Joey
prospects.
Ortiz in AAA last year was hitting .321. I mean, he struggled when he got to the majors, but he played 15 games. He didn't have that learning curve as much. 15 games is not enough to get used to major league pitching. Mm-hmm. So these are two really, really good prospects. I wouldn't immediately just say, just because I don't know their names, just because they're not the Spencer Joneses or like
Michael Bush,
the Michael Bushes of the world, just because I don't know their name, they must not be great. I think it's not a fair assessment to say that, and
I think it's mind-boggling. This more is a bigger display of how deep the Orioles prospect pool runs. Because they did this without giving up anybody who everyone was like, oh my God, he's guaranteed going to be the starting shortstop, starting second baseman, third baseman for the Brewers this season. Like, that's how deep the Orioles run.
Think about it. I mean, they still have Jackson Holliday, Kobe Mayo, Heston Kierstead. Sorry for that pronunciation. Colton Cowser. They still have so many good prospects in their system that it's just incredible that they were able to give away 2 of them, and it's still like, yeah, their farm system is still insane. They're still set up for so much success in the future. Yeah. So I think this was a really good trade for the Orioles.
It definitely was. I'm looking forward to seeing how DL Hall progresses. That's my big watch.
Is it bad to say that I expect Corbin Burnes to be an Oriole past the 2024 season?
No, it's completely fair. Especially
I don't expect the Orioles to make this trade and then not have him for at least another couple of years.
I agree with you, and it's going to be even more entertaining because the Orioles did just get sold to private equity billionaires who, rival the likes of how much money Steve Cohen has. There's a very good chance that the Orioles go into opening day and say, let's start locking up this core. Let's just make sure we have everything in place.
Yeah, it's possible. So, I mean, locking up your core is a very important thing to do, especially in today's day and age, which is exactly what the Royals did. They locked up their core centerpiece player in Bobby Witt Jr. They signed him to an 11-year extension worth $288 million, has player options for 3 years after the contract's over, so it could get up to 14 years. And if it does get to 14...
No, those are team options.
Sorry. So it has player options for the last 4 years of the 11-year deal, and then it has team options for the 3 years after that. But in total, it could get to 14 years, $377 million. So they locked up their stud, their star, and it is the largest contract in Royals history.
By a large margin.
What do you think?
I genuinely could not believe it. I will tell you that when this contract came out, I was actually wearing my Royals City Connect shirt that I just got, and it felt like a very, very special moment.
Knew it.
I've been loving for the past year or so what the Royals have been doing with MJ Melendez, Bobby Witt Jr., and hell, even this offseason, I feel like they've made a couple of good free agent signings.
Pasquatch.
Yeah, it's like Vinny Pasquantino, of course. It's hard not to like the Royals, and this just makes them even more likable. The fact that their owner, after they signed Bobby Witt Jr. to this massive contract, he comes out to the media and is like, guys, Bobby Witt Jr. is our cornerstone. Like, he's our guy. We're going to pay him like he's our guy, and we are going to do everything to compete with him as our guy. And that's exactly what this contract shows. Congratulations to Bobby Witt Jr. Knowing that he's going to be in Kansas City for the next 11 years at minimum. What do you think the Royals' goals should be while he's under contract?
Well, win a championship. I think
win a championship, that's exactly what he.
That's
that's everything that he has his eyes set on. He just went 30-30 last season, and he still is underrated. Genuinely, I could see him going 40-40 this season and finally putting himself in that conversation of like, Bobby Witt Jr. is a superstar.
I mean, he almost went 30-50 last season. He had 49 steals.
I know.
He was close to it. He had a monster season last year, and I love this move for the Royals. And is it bad to now say that? I mean, you mentioned what the Royals are doing. They just extended their face of the franchise, Bobby Witt. They just extend him. They've made signings. You know, they've picked up. They've picked up what's his name, Michael Wacha.
Mm-hmm.
They've picked up Hunter Renfroe. They've picked up who else have they picked up so far? Seth Lugo, Will Smith, Nick Anderson. They got from the Braves. They've made a lot of moves this offseason.
They have.
Is it crazy to say that not the Astros? Is it crazy to say that the Royals might be this season's Cincinnati Reds? Like, you know how the Reds last year they were bad, and then seemingly out of nowhere, all these young guys and some core players just happen to just
take that jump,
absolutely explode. I think that they might be. And you got Salvador Perez manning the gun too still.
Overrated.
So I don't know. I'm really liking the Royals. I know you tweeted, I'm locked in on the Royals season this year.
It's so hard to not be locked in on the Royals.
I think I agree. Yeah, I think I agree.
I'm looking forward to the Royals, yes. I don't think that you can say that they're going to be that type of thing because we're seeing what their lineup looks like right now, and we're saying like they're going to be sleepers. The Reds, we went into last season looking at it being like, why are we spending more than 5 minutes talking about this or looking at this type of thing?
Well, but I think now it's in our mind. Now we're thinking about it.
Right, but I'm saying we didn't do that preseason for the Reds last year.
But I think because that happened with the Reds, it made us think that this could be a similar situation.
Okay. I mean, I genuinely believe that there is a world in which the Kansas City Royals sneak past a lot of people's minds. I mean, they went 56 and 106 last year.
They were arguably worse than the Athletics last year.
They were just as bad, not statistically, but they were just as bad in the grand scheme of things. And they have the chance to rapidly turn that ship around. I think that anything short of 500 for them right now, in my mind, anything short of 500 is not what you wanted out of the season. Get to 82 and 82 this season, or 81 and 81, excuse me, and take it from there, because then at least you know that you have the building blocks of what can be a championship caliber team one day.
Yeah, and they can take advantage of a weak AL Central, because we know
it's always weak.
The AL Central is not one of the premier divisions in baseball right now, at least.
Amen.
So take advantage of your division that you're in and try to get wins against the bad teams. Do your job.
Mm-hmm.
I think a big step up for the Royals is coming this year, and I'm very excited to see it. And it all starts with Bobby Witt Jr.
It does.
He is the centerpiece of this team. He's the heart and soul of Kansas City. He's bringing in fans that aren't even Royals fans. Like,
That-
I love Bobby Witt Jr. It's hard not to love him.
The call on the broadcast of ground ball to short, Bobby Fields fires to Vinny, the Royals are World Series champions, is going to be electric one
Right.
day, and I want to be the first
Right.
one to have known it.
Well, you sound like you're like LeBron James. I mean, on the day of this contract, you were wearing the Royals shirt. Like, you just woke up and had a feeling.
I was.
That's
I had-
LeBron James type stuff.
That is LeBron, the Lapuki stuff.
That is. I mean, you just knew. You didn't know what it was.
I told you when it happened. I showed you.
No, I believe you. I'm just saying. You just knew. That's LeBron James. That's greatness.
That is greatness.
Um,
Shout out the Royals.
I bet you're always on the first page of books too. I'm
Second
kidding.
page.
That was just a LeBron joke. But yeah, no. Bobby Witt Jr. is the young stud. He's the future face of current face of the franchise for the Royals, and he will be for the future
Right.
officially.
Okay.
Now.
Can I do this one?
Well, I was just gonna say that's funny because, like, looking around the league, you have all those young guys.
Yeah. Well, it's very easy and obvious to say this. Bobby Witt Jr. was the second overall pick in that 2019 draft. Who was the one pick ahead of him? Adley Rutschman, another young cornerstone piece for a franchise. Will we start to see now more and more players get locked up before arbitration ends for them when they're younger and we know how good they can and will be in the majors? It's beyond me. I think that we should expect a wave of large contracts going to younger players who have proven that, hey, they're good enough to be MLB players.
I was getting to that point. That's where I was kind of going with what I was saying. There's so many young guys in baseball today. You look at Corbin Carroll, who the Diamondbacks locked up for long term. Now you have Bobby Witt, who the Royals are locking up, and now you look at the guys who are the next generation, who we know are the next generation that haven't been locked up yet. They're still on their rookie contracts. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not a weird thing in the world of sports. Like, people go through their rookie like, look at Corbin Burnes. He won a Cy Young and they still didn't extend him.
Yep.
So people get through their rookie contracts. That's not an unheard of type thing. But now you want to look at those bona fide studs who aren't signed yet to long-term extensions, to long-term deals. The Adley Rutschman you have. I mean, Jackson Churio, he just got signed to one.
He hasn't played in
the
MLB
Major League
game.
So what this means for the landscape of younger players and the fact that I think now we will start to see a lot of the young players agree to these massive contracts that are like this to keep themselves on the teams that they came up with. And I don't think it's a bad thing because, I mean, it's not going to be every single rookie is going to get these massive contracts.
No,
it's going to be the
top of the
generational
top.
talents.
Yeah.
You know, I expect Adley Rutschman to sign a giant deal with the Orioles. I don't know when that will be, whether that will be sometime this offseason or next offseason. I'm expecting that now.
I don't expect Adley Rutschman to hit free agency. I'm in agreement with you on that.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I think that we're going to be seeing it more and more where young guys are getting locked up. Teams are like,
they're doing the Braves thing.
We know this guy is going to be good. We might as well keep him for as long as we can, and we might as well get on that right now. So I think we're going to see that, and I think the next guy up is Adley Rutschman, if I had to guess.
I agree with you, and I think one person that honestly should not be too far behind him, in my very, very humble opinion, is Francisco Alvarez of the Mets, another catcher who has shown as a rookie how high his ceiling is, and considering this type of season that he had last year, I think it can only go up for him. I think he's another guy to look out for. Anybody on the Reds, Spencer Steer, Matt McClain, Ellie De La Cruz, if he lowers his strikeout rate, please God do that. Those guys I would love to see. O'Neal Cruz, of course. Alex is king.
Sorry. By the way, you said doing what the Braves do. This is a little different.
It's different, but it's still the same concept of locking up stars before they hit free agency.
I mean, at essence it is, but the 11 years, $288 million.
That is not a Braves contract.
$26 million a year. By the way, signing bonus of I know you like this part. Signing bonus of $7,777,777. Bobby Witt wears the number 7, so I can only assume that's why that's that number.
As soon as he put his name on that paper, the Royals basically agreed to retire his number.
Well,
Like,
We'll see.
in
We'll see.
16 years, we will be talking about the Bobby Witt Jr. retirement ceremony.
I sure hope so.
Ceremony. With the 3 World Series rings.
But yeah, no, the Braves move in this scenario would have been to offer him a 7-year, $100 million contract, the Acuna contract.
No, it would have been 7 years, $14 an hour.
$14 an hour.
Yeah.
Only during games.
Only during
games. Games are 3 hours.
No
PTO. Oh my God.
That's the Braves thing. Honestly, one more guy that I cannot believe that we just did not mention this. Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Yeah, Vladito.
should be
even
fucking
Bichette,
signed.
Too.
Bo
Bichette, you look at.
Yeah, Bo Bichette should be.
There's so many young players out there that deserve extensions, and
Nolan Jones.
Like you could say deserve Nolan Jones. I'd say give him another year. I wouldn't say
love Nolan Jones too much. I would give him right now.
Well, I'm not. I'm saying I don't care really how much you love him. I'm just saying in terms of let's see what he can do for another full season. He hasn't really Adley. We've seen him for a full year.
We saw
2
Julio
years.
for what?
Julio
86 games.
He's
and
just
then
another
he got
instance of
the largest contract in pre-arbitration history. And now Bobby Witt Jr. is right behind him.
He's just another case of the young guys who are absolute studs, and they're going to be bona fide studs. They're the next generation.
Hell yeah.
Let's just lock them up right now. Josh Young.
Guy.
We can name guys forever, but it's going to be a fun season regardless, and I'm excited to see what Bobby Witt Jr. and the Royals can get done this season. However, I know you mentioned that call of the Royals winning the World Series. Is the World Series already on lock, though? Because the Dodgers started their spring training last week because they start their season a week earlier. The Dodgers and Padres started their spring training a week early.
Well, the Dodgers have been the talk of the town, though.
They open up the season in South Korea a week early. But again, like you said, the Dodgers are the talk of the town. They have built up this super team. They have acquired Shohei Ohtani, Yoshinobu, Yamamoto throughout the offseason, and they seem to be they're the betting favorites to win the World Series by far.
As they should be.
And so far in spring training already, Dodger star, he's going to be a second baseman this year. Mookie Betts said in, I guess, an interview or a press conference that the Dodgers are every team's World Series this year. So he's basically saying, when people play us, even in the regular season, first season of the year, it's going to feel like it's the World Series. They're going to have to play to their A game. It's going to be intense for them, but we're just going to be playing our normal regular season. Is that true? Do you think that is a true statement saying, not in the sense of we beat the Dodgers in the series, like we're acting like we just won the World Series, but in the sense of, are they public enemy number one? Is every team looking to beat the Dodgers when they head into LA or when the Dodgers come to town?
Let me analyze both sides of the coin, and then we'll throw the question back towards you. Obviously, Mookie Betts' comments, I think, in the heart of hearts, every baseball fan knows it's true. The Dodgers have built a super team where they have countless MVP awards. They have some of the best pitching that, when healthy, obviously, the league has seen. I think it's very fair to say, yes, they are that World Series or bust team, and every team is going to be playing 110% against them because it's like, hey, you want to be able to say to your kids, if you're on the opposing team, like, sure, that team might have won the World Series, but hey, they played us 6 times and we beat them 4 times.
Right, just like a little tidbit, like, oh,
right.
Yeah, remember when the Dodgers won 150 games and won the World Series? Well,
those 2 losses were to me.
The Nationals beat them 2 out of 3 times. I think we were the better team that year.
Yes.
I know what you're saying. I understand what you're saying there.
But on the other side, you have to understand that, that's the mindset that I think every MLB player has about their team against other teams. That's I feel like I've heard it so much.
Are athletics players really going into every series saying, "Oh, okay, this team"?
I said major league teams, not quadruple A teams.
All right, pal.
I think major league players
Ruiz.
genuinely have that like that competitive mentality, and that's why we see so many guys like say that they left it all out there on the field. Every team wants to be that team that wins, and you want to be the reason why, and you want to contribute to eventually raising the commissioner's trophy, or just winning one game at a time. That's why I'm saying I think that it's completely fair to say it, and it makes sense why Mookie Betts said it. I imagine that everyone in that clubhouse feels the same way, especially when you're looking at literally over $1 billion worth of free agents in Yamamoto and Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, I was gonna say $1 billion worth of free agents in just two people.
And just two players.
That's not counting Mookie Betts. That's not counting Freddie Freeman.
That's not counting Tyler Glass now.
Yeah.
Oh
God. Tyler. I forget that Tyler Glass now.
That's not counting Walker Buehler, which, by the way, I've been diabolically locked in on watching. Yes, I've been diabolically locked in on watching spring training stuff from the Dodgers, and I think I'm just going to say this right now. I was going to save this till we did like our Dodgers preseason thing. I need to say it one time because it's been on my chest. Walker Buehler might become their starting pitcher one this season.
Yeah,
like he looks
that's not out of the realm of possibility.
So freaking good in spring training.
Do you remember him before he got injured?
No, I do, but I'm saying I don't think people are expecting him to come back from, Tommy John surgery, take extra time off when you could have probably come back and pitch in the postseason.
Yeah.
He took extra time off to be 110%. He looks 110%, and it's genuinely scary. I'm watching the film, like his pitches. They're moving more than they've ever moved before. Spin rate is higher than it's ever been before. Velo is higher than I've seen it for, the first week or so of spring training. I'm excited for Walker Buehler and the Dodgers.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have forgotten just how good Walker Buehler is because he's missed 2 years. No, it's 2 years now. He was supposed to come back towards the beginning of last season, then got injured again. Mm-hmm. So he's been out for almost 2 years now, and people don't remember how good he's been. So I like that. I mean, I think he could be Dodgers starting pitcher number one, barring how Yoshinobu Yamamoto plays, because if Yamamoto comes in pitching like he did in Japan, I think he's he's similar to Shohei in the MVP race of that he's just going to win the Cy Young every year type thing.
Yeah, that'd be
because I mean his numbers in Japan are just unmatched.
Yes.
But we'll see. I mean, the Dodgers are. I mean, if you want to reverse the question, I mean, I think that they are public enemy number one, and I think you do have these teams every once in a while that it's just like everyone wants to beat them.
The target's on their back.
Not to say that teams go into games saying, "Oh, we don't really want to win." I'm not trying to say that, but when you go into a series with the Dodgers, they have that star power where there is an extra motivation to beat them. And I agree with Mookie Betts in the sense of, teams come and play us and they're going to be feeling like it's the most important series of the year.
I cannot wait for them to lose to, let's just say, like the Marlins.
No,
right?
It's Diamondbacks again.
No, I'm saying in the regular season.
Oh, okay.
Just losing to like the Marlins or a team that might not be a playoff team, and then we'll get the Dodgers beat reporters tweeting out after the game like, "Hey, the Marlins are playing music extremely loud and partying right now because they just took 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers." That's the power of #Dodgerland.
This does also, of course, bar that they're fully healthy, because I think if they are missing say they're missing like Shohei Ohtani and Freddie Freeman, just
knock on wood, that does not happen.
I mean, knock on wood. I'm not praying on any injuries. I'm just saying if they're missing someone or 2 of their key players, 1 or 2 of their key players,
their 7 key players,
for like even just one series, I think there is going to be like if they lose that series, they're like, oh well, we weren't even at full strength, type thing.
Oh yeah.
So I still think that there is dependence on who's healthy, or even the other team. If the other team's missing a star player and they lose, they say, oh well, I think we would have actually won if we had that guy. So there's going to be a lot of bickering back and forth between Dodgers fans rather, and fans of other teams throughout these series this year, because I do think they are public enemy number one, and I think anyone and everyone is going to be looking for reasons that the Dodgers aren't as good as their record says they are, or reasons that their team should have beat them, or reasons that the umps bailed them out. They are the definition of public enemy number one, in my opinion.
Let's just say this right now. The 4-game series between the Dodgers and the Braves in Atlanta, I believe it's like near the end of the season, that is going to be like that could contend for series of the year.
Yeah.
Like I'm just going to say that right now. There will be so much star power on one field that it's going to be impossible to not look at it and be like, holy shit, this is like David versus Goliath type of thing. You know, the immovable object versus the unstoppable force. And I'm excited to see that. I think that it's fair to call the Dodgers public enemy number one. However, a lot of fans in baseball will tell you that there might be a different public enemy number one, and that is if we go down to the Lone Star State, the Houston Astros, who have just secured the cornerstone of their franchise, Jose Altuve, for the foreseeable future, signing him to a 5-year, $125 million contract. Let's just say this now. Congratulations, Jose Altuve. Congratulations, Astros. Alex, what do you think about the contract?
I mean, Jose Altuve is an Astro for life. I think we had this conversation a couple weeks ago.
We did.
Or like a month ago or whatever. Whenever we've had the conversation this offseason of, look, the Astros have a lot of guys that their contracts are expiring soon, and they're going to have to extend some of these guys. And you had to know that no matter who they decided to let walk or extend, you knew Altuve was going to be on the top of that list, and they were not letting Altuve go anywhere. And not at all am I shocked by this 5-year, $125 million contract. It makes so much sense. He's the cornerstone of that team. He is the veteran of that team.
He was the turning point of their franchise.
Yeah, he is the Astro. When you think Astros, you think Jose Altuve. No matter if you want to or not, whether you hate him or love him, you think of Jose Altuve when you think of the Houston Astros.
Not only do you don't just think about Jose Altuve, you think about how much he has done for the organization on the field. I mean, the guy is an MVP.
He's massive.
He has 2 World Series championships, 8 All-Star appearances, one being in the National League, by the way. Freaking cool. He's an absolute monster on the field.
Yeah, he's the only player to ever. What was it? Only player to ever make an all-star team with the same team in like the AL and the NL or something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
He's been there for a long time.
Yes, he's been there for a long time. And to think, Altuve even said it at his press conference, which, by the way, I absolutely loved watching his press conference. I think everyone who was up there on the stage was an amazing person and really hammered home the point of like Altuve was going to be an Astro no matter what. He said that originally when he got called up to the big leagues back in 2011, it was just a stop-in point until they found a long-term second baseman. Although technically that's still true. I think it's fair to say that Altuve playing second base for the Astros was the right move all along.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a shoo-in for me. I mean, honestly, this was so obvious that I wasn't really thinking about it. I was kind of for weeks I've been acting like it already happened.
We had the conversation about it, and I like to imagine that Jim Crane actually watched our last episode.
He must have.
And realized, like, holy shit, these guys are right. So,
yeah, he must have. He must have. But
we'd love to have you on the show, Jim.
Now the question becomes, what do the Astros do in terms of those other guys whose contracts are expiring within the next year or year or two or whatever it is? I want to highlight 3 players specifically.
Do it.
Being Framber Valdez,
okay,
Kyle Tucker,
okay,
and Alex Bregman.
He said it.
Because those 3 players are key pieces to this Astros team currently, and I don't think that they will be able to get all 3 of them back. No matter what way the contracts work, I don't think it's possible to get all 3 of them back. And the question then becomes, which do they keep, which can they keep, and which will they walk?
Well, do you want to play the same game that we did? I think it was maybe an episode or 2 ago. Take those 3 players, right? Bregman, Valdez, and Tucker. You can only sign 2 of them. Which 2 would you want and why?
Right. So for me, I would want to keep I think no matter which way you look at it, you keep Framber.
Okay.
He's an extremely good pitcher. I mean, is he a free agent after this season or is it next season?
Do you want me to check really quick?
I could check too, because if he's not a free agent at the end of this season coming up, no, he's not a free agent until 2026. So that's 2 seasons from now.
Yes, he is 2
So
months.
I say you maybe wait on Framber for now, see how he performs this year. But I think out of Alex Bregman and Kyle Tucker, you would have to let Bregman walk. He's the oldest. Isn't he the oldest out of those three?
Yes, I believe only 30 years old, by the way.
But I mean, still, but Kyle Tucker is 27, so Kyle Tucker is 3 years younger than him.
Right.
And I just don't know. I think you can. It's so tough because I think third base is a decently shallow position in baseball right now.
It's the most shallow position, both in baseball right now and historically.
So if you have a bona fide third baseman, or bona fide, I keep using that word. I'm using that word way too much today. I'm just using it too much today. I'm not a big bona fide guy.
Well, apparently today you are.
If you have a franchise player at third base, how do you let him walk? How? You don't, because who's replacing Alex Bregman at third base if they let him walk? As much as I would love to say, you keep Kyle Tucker no matter what at all costs.
Mr. $200 million man.
How would you let Alex Bregman walk? But again, there is also that situation where they get Bregman and Kyle Tucker and let Framber Valdez walk, because I'd argue that starting pitcher is probably
more replaceable.
One of the more, what's the word I'm looking
revolving
for? Flexible.
One
of the more flexible positions. What would you take if you had to pick 2 out of 3? I know you would pick Kyle Tucker. You love Kyle Tucker.
Love Kyle Tucker. The 10-year, $300 million contract is going to hit like crack.
So we'll even move Kyle Tucker out. Who would you rather have, Alex Bregman or Framber Valdez long term if you're the Astros?
I think that it's fair to say, just due to a simple money factor, because it is the Houston Astros and we're not talking about the Mets or the Dodgers or the Yankees, I think it's fair to say that you would rather have Framber Valdez. Good starting pitching is very, very difficult to find, especially when you're talking about Framber Valdez, who this upcoming season is their starting pitcher 3.
2.
Yeah, 2 or 3. It depends.
2.
Obviously.
Verlander, Framber, and Javier Brown.
Yeah. Okay. But I think it's harder to find that tier of pitching than it is to find that tier of hitting for the money, for the money wise. Obviously, in a perfect world, you say it does not matter. I will pay whatever it takes to keep both of them. I just think
in a perfect world,
Alex Bregman did get underpaid in his last contract extension, technically. Oh, not even technically. He really did. And he is going to hit the free agent market after this season and say, listen, I'm a 2-time World Series champion. Might be 3 times by the time that he hits free agency.
Whoa. Early predictions over there.
No, every team has the opportunity.
No, I get it. I know, I'm kidding.
But, you say that, I'm hitting the free agent market, and I want more than what I'm worth, because guess what? I'm going to put asses in the seats, and I know I'm going to produce for your team.
Which is fair.
It's completely fair, but it's also going to be a high number, which I just don't think the Astros are willing to commit to, which is why I'm saying they're probably going to go with Framber.
Right. You got to remember the Astros are a small market team, like you mentioned.
Yeah, they've done a great job of operating within their means.
Right. But can they afford another massive contract?
Right. I don't know how much their stress test goes.
Also, Yordan Alvarez is going to be a free agent.
Which, if they don't lock him up, then the Astros should disband.
You have to think long term, and would you want to lose Yordan? Absolutely not. Would you want to lose Kyle Tucker? I'd say 90% no. Mm-hmm.
Yes, from the Astros perspective,
I'd say yes, about 90% no. You could say no, they should not. But I'm saying from the Astros perspective, you're like, no, I would not want to lose Kyle Tucker. Definitely not Yordan.
Right.
Bregman is kind of the odd man out of if they lost
which is
Bregman.
Bizarre to say.
Which, yes, it doesn't make sense because Bregman is such a good player. But somehow with this Astros team, you're saying we know they can't pay everybody, and Alex Bregman might be the best one to not pay and let him walk, which is a bizarre thing that I'm saying out loud. But
Astros fans, we're sorry for this segment.
Bregman might be the odd man out. I don't think Kyle Tucker is as set in stone as you say he is. I know you view Kyle Tucker very highly, but I think
top 15 player.
So if I had to say out of Yordan Alvarez and Kyle Tucker, who should they? If they could only pick one of those two, who would they pick? Who would you pick?
Imagine
who would you pick, and then who do you think the Astros would pick?
Let me say this to you, and then I will answer that question. Imagine everybody on the Astros was a free agent right now, everybody, right?
Forgot they have Jose Abreu, by the way.
Yeah. Genuinely, the only 2 guys that I say it does not matter, keep those guys, is Jose Altuve at 1, Yordan Alvarez at 2, and then I think there's a massive gap where you say, we'll see with everybody else.
So you are saying that
I would,
think
yes,
Jordan
I think
is the option
Jordan is the guy that you have to keep. I mean,
over Kyle Tucker.
Over Kyle Tucker. The guy is an absolute monster time and time again in the playoffs and in the regular season. He has shown it does not matter how big or small the moment is. He is going to put everything out there on the field and absolutely mash the shit out of the ball at the plate. And yes, it is not super difficult to find someone like that. It's difficult to find it at the rate that Yordan Alvarez does it. I mean, we, at the end of Alvarez's career, which obviously is a very long time away, knock on wood, we could be talking about him with David Ortiz, Alex Rodriguez. He has that potential, whereas I don't think anyone else on the Astros has that potential besides Jose Altuve.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment to say. But do you think there's a world that they could maybe get both?
Alvarez and Tucker?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there definitely is, but that would mean that Alvarez would need to realize his worth as strictly a DH, which obviously
why is that?
He's not going to do, because then he would take less money. Because
I
if
think
you
if
have
either
in your
of
back
those-
pocket of like, hey, I
if
can also
either-
be a left fielder, you're going to ask for more money.
If either of those two people are taking less money, I think it would have to be Tucker.
I don't know.
Well, I know you see Tucker as a $300 million man.
It's the 10-year, $300 million contract. There's no getting me off of that.
I know. I don't see that, though.
Mm.
I
don't
know.
see the vision. It happens.
Out of
It
Jordan
happens.
and Kyle Tucker, I think that they would have to make Kyle Tucker take less money, which seems crazy, I know, but
You don't see the vision.
Well,
You don't see
I don't see your vision. Yeah.
No, it's the vision.
I'm glad. That's why I don't have glasses.
Amen.
Whoa. Okay, anyway. But yeah, the Astros definitely have some crazy big decisions to make moving forward.
A lot of players have crazy big decisions to make.
A lot of players have crazy big decisions.
just
players report in 2 days. And
Yeah.
we still have some big name free agents out there.
let's
I know
just-
you want to list a couple.
Yeah, the free agent recap, which I feel like we've been doing for this entire offseason, is the same as it always has been. Blake Snell, Jordan Montgomery, Cody Bellinger, those are like the 3 headliners. Matt Chapman you can throw in there. Shout out Matt Chapman fans all across the globe. I don't even know what to say anymore. It's mostly just Boris clients. It kind of frustrates me. Now, I'm getting to the point where I'm getting really annoyed because I want to start, really seeing, hey, are the Cubs going to be contenders? Because not only did they bring back Cody Bellinger, they brought in Blake Snell. Do you know how much fun that would be to say? But obviously, Scott Boras is taking his very, very sweet time. As far as we know, only one player out of those 4 that I just mentioned have gotten a contract offer. That was Blake Snell from the Yankees for what Blake Snell and Scott Boras are saying is a massive underpay.
Public contract offer.
Right, public contract
Because they
offer.
could have
Excuse
definitely
me.
been offered.
Yes, excuse me. But
the other people.
Right. What are we doing if I'm one of these free agents and I know I report in 2 or 3 days, well, should be reporting in 2 or 3 days, and I don't know where I'm going, I'm starting to get a little pissed off. And as a fan, I'm getting pissed off.
Right, reasonably so. I mean, at this point, it feels like, you got to expect these guys not to sign before,
Opening day.
Well, I expect them to sign before opening day.
It is Scott Boras.
I meant you would love to expect them to sign before spring training starts because that's a big thing for players. I want to know where I'm going for spring training.
Yeah, you gotta
I don't
want to
get to I don't want to get to the party late.
Got to get to the Airbnb early, set it up, make sure that you know everywhere that you're going out, making sure that you know your teammates.
It's like missing the opening part of a movie and then asking questions. Of course you're confused. You weren't here in the beginning.
Yeah. And
type thing. It's different when you get traded in the middle of the season, but when you miss the first 3 weeks of spring training because you just can't pick a contract.
Scott Boras has a thumb up his ass. Yes, I know. That shit pisses me off too.
Wow. Scott Boras, avid Scott Boras hater, Lewis.
I hate him because I need Scott Boras to have a TV show where he's just live 24/7. I want to be the fly on the wall that's listening to Scott Boras. We need more money, man. We need more money. I just spent $250 million on my Miami trainers complex. Man, I need more money. I need that in my life.
I don't know. Players he's an agent. That's what agents do. He's just the most agent of agents.
Yes. Which is annoying, but
I'm very interested.
You have to tip your hat to him.
I'm very interested to see what happens with these remaining free agents, notably being the 3 that you named: Blake Snell, Jordan Montgomery, and Cody Bellinger. Cody Bellinger is crazy to me too because Blake Snell, we know he's coming off a Cy Young. He's coming off a Cy Young. He wants money. He wants a decently long-term contract, whatever. But Cody Bellinger, he's coming off a really, really good season, but that really, really good season is coming off like 3 really, really, really bad seasons. Two really, really bad seasons. But then those 2 really, really bad seasons are coming off 2 really, really, really good, 3 really, really good seasons. So it's just a weird situation for Cody Bellinger of teams. I think teams just are very uneasy about the thought of signing him to a long-term contract. And I think that's the main holdup for Cody Bellinger. And, at what point does it become, listen, opening day is, not to say that it's definitely going to get to this point, but what if it gets to a point where it's like, listen, opening day's next week, and I'm not going to be on a team for opening day. Mm-hmm. So am I going to have to finally just concede and take less money? Is it going to get to that point?
There is probably a date out there that is a hard deadline for all of these guys. Because at the end of the day,
it's interesting.
They could all fire Scott Boras tomorrow and sign with a team whenever they feel like it. Let's just play one quick game and then we'll get out of here. Where do you want those 3 guys to go? Just spitball it, no reasoning, just spitball it. Do you want Blake Snell to sign with the...
No, am I taking into account, do I think that team's going to pay for him type thing?
Yeah.
Or just where I would like to see them play?
Like where do you think they're going to go?
Final prediction?
Yes. And then we'll never talk about this until they sign.
All right. So Blake Snell is a Yankee.
Okay.
Jordan Montgomery is a Ranger.
Okay.
And Cody Bellinger is a Cub.
Oh, okay. Okay. I am going Blake Snell is a Cub.
Wow.
I'm going Jordan Montgomery is a Red Sox.
Fair. He's been linked.
Cody Bellinger is a Texas Ranger.
That's all right. It's
fun.
That's interesting.
That's fun.
Well, we'll see if those predictions come true. For now, all we have left to look for is spring training starting, pitchers and catchers reporting, and then the first spring training games start fairly soon. This month at some point, obviously.
End of the month, I believe.
And then mark your calendars for March 20th, opening day for MLB, just for
Dodgers, Padres.
Just for Dodgers and Padres in South Korea. Of course, 2 West Coast teams are playing at 3:05 in the morning on opening day.
Cannot wait to watch that.
Yeah, Pacific time, both Pacific teams, and Pacific time it will be 3:05 in the morning when they start their season. So
what more
fans
would
are gonna
you
have to
want
wake
to do?
up early. So mark your calendar now so you can get that sleep schedule ready.
What more would you want to do on a Wednesday morning than wake up at 3:00 in the morning to watch the Dodgers?
I'll tell you this. I will be waking up at 3 in the morning.
Oh, I'm so there.
20th.
I'm so there.
Well, I guess it's 6 in the morning for Eastern time, but I'll be waking up. I'll be ready.
Oh, I'll be there for sure. It's going to be hard not to watch baseball. I'm so excited. I cannot wait for it to come back.
Yep.
Let's go baseball.
Yeah, we're all excited for the season to get started. We're here for you to give you the latest news, updates, what's going on in baseball. We're going to be here all season long doing this. So we appreciate your support. Subscribe if you're new, or if you happen to like this episode and for some reason aren't subscribed already, do that.
Let us know what your favorite team, what do you want your favorite team to do this season?
Yeah, comment on what your favorite team, your biggest expectations for your favorite team, and what you think about the Bobby Witt Jr. deal, the Corbin Burnes trade, and Altuve being extended, and that whole situation with the Astros. Let us know. And we will see you guys in the next one. A peace.